It's showtime, folks. Welcome in Chase and Big Joe, 1025, 1063. The game on this Thursday. We are live from the Omni Nashville Hotel once again at our home at Kitchen Notes. The grand reopening today. So excited to be back at Kitchen Notes. Joe has had 6 bowls of oatmeal already this morning. He's ready to rock and roll. What's up, JoJo?
Good morning. And you know what? We got to be on our P's and Q's.
We do. We have a very, very special guest to join us to start things off. Metro Police Chief John Drake is with us. He cut the ribbon this morning, made this thing official. Kitchen Notes is officially open. Chief, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, I had a chance to have a ribbon cutting. I don't think I've done a ribbon cutting in my entire career. So that's exciting for me. So
well, we saw you walk in and our producer Dr. Crane got real nervous. So I don't know what that means.
Oh,
He might have to answer for some things. I don't know. But how did you get the nod to do this? I know this is really exciting.
You know, I love the Omni and I love Kitchen Notes, and I have a very good friend here named Todd Rodemel.
He's a good guy.
He reached out to me, and without hesitation, I was like, absolutely, I'll do it. And to be on the show with 2 great guys, hey,
what time is that?
Can't turn that down.
11.
Well, and you got Don Aaron here. I mean, he only shows up when it's a big deal. So
that's right.
I mean, this must be a big deal.
I love it when Don travels with me. We're on an airplane and everyone's hugging and shaking him, and they don't notice me. I can just sit there.
We saw Don in the press box, and it was the Music City Bowl, and then people were like, It's Don Aaron. So we get it. We understand. He's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I even when I visited with President Biden, he was happy to see me, talked a little bit. But when Don walked up, he was like, Don. I thought they were best buddies, So.
Oh, that's great. I noticed this and I wanted to compliment you this. Every time I see you, you're in uniform, right?
Yeah.
I know some police chiefs around the country wear a suit and tie. Why are you always in uniform?
I'm proud of this uniform. I started March 16th to be 37 years in this profession, and I've done everything from undercover work, and I just love the uniform and what it represents, what it stands for. And we have 521 patrol officers, and I like them to see me as the top guy wearing a uniform, representing our police department. So it means a lot to me to wear it every day.
That's really cool. So what was the first job you had with Metro PD?
So the first job I had was working West Patrol, working midnights.
Okay.
Then I went from there. I did crime suppression, which was a street level drug and crime suppression. Then I went to narcotics. I did some undercover work there, and then I got a little bit burned out. I started investigating someone I kind of liked a little bit, and I wanted to get away from that kind of work. And I went into the Police Athletic League, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's where you met Todd, the PAL. Talk about how that just kind of influenced you with Todd and the city, because it was a great thing for Nashville.
It was a great thing, and we had a PAL board. Todd Rodemel was a part of it, but we had all kind of sports programs. I took a basketball program from 100 kids to 1,300. Some of those young men and women are professional athletes. They're dentists, principals, doing a lot of great things. I'm really proud because a TV station in Atlanta highlighted a young man that I mentored. He was 5 years old when he came into the PAL program, and he just stared at me. Everywhere I walked, he stared at me. And so he decided that he wanted to be a police officer, and he joined the Atlanta Police Department because he didn't have any college. He actually was wounded in the line of duty. He had a rifle round grazed his forehead.
Wow.
And so he just got promoted to sergeant. He wanted me to come to Atlanta to pin him. And his goal one day is to be the chief of police. And so I had people down in Atlanta calling me and saying, hey, thanks for mentoring this young man. And that's what PAL was about to me, is helping kids. I come from a lower income part of town, didn't have much growing up. And I just saw an avenue to be able to help kids, and PAL was really big. We did track, we did football, basketball. I even had a junior golf program, so it was a really neat time. So
that was I'm a Metro guy as well as you are, and so I know you went to East, I went to McGavick, but football coaches had a positive impact. I've read about you, how they just kind of led you down a great path, right?
Absolutely. And so my football coach was Richard Coor. He actually left McGavick High School to come over to East. East had a losing program. He got us to where my senior year we won, I think it was 4 games, almost went 500 for the year. But he always had this saying: "Do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long."
Do it long, yes.
And the main theme behind all of that is do it right the first time. But they were more than just coaches. They were mentors. My wrestling coach paid for my tuxedo to go to the prom.
Wow.
Because my dad couldn't, and they still maintain a relationship in my life today. I won the Roy Kramer Award, the National Football Hall of Fame, and my high school coach went with me, which was pretty neat. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
We're talking to Chief Drake from Metro Police here at the Omni Hotel. He cut the ribbon this morning. All right, we need you to help us out with something because this came up on the show yesterday, and it was a big topic with our listeners.
Okay.
It's obviously very cold outside, so a lot of people want to let their cars warm up before they go and get in their cars. And then it kind of came up that it's actually illegal to go start your car and go back in your house. Is that true?
Yeah, you should not leave it unattended and running. You should actually sit in the car. When I start my vehicle, I sit in the car.
What about a remote start?
Remote start can work. That's fine because you can't drive it off
Right.
with that. But that's fine.
So you're just talking about putting the key in it, leaving the key in it, going in the house, letting it warm up. Don't do that.
Yeah, a lot of people do that, and it's just not. I mean, I don't remember prosecuting anybody for that. I don't think
Until today.
but yeah, that's not something I do. I'll actually sit in the car and let it warm up. Or fortunately, I got a remote start, so I just hit the car a couple of times. So.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah, that's what I have. So okay, so we're good.
Yeah.
Good. We're well, you're not. But
I just get it and go. I don't warm up. I just take off and go and do all that stuff.
Oh wow! So
Yeah.
he must got one of those like $200,000 trucks. He just pop in and
No,
drive.
it's I mean that thing. If it gets in drive, I'm like, thank the Lord, it does that way. Nashville, where do you see this city in the next 3 to 5 years?
I see this city just continuing to grow. I see the East Bank developing, Nashville Yards coming on. I see a police department. We're allocated for 1,658 officers. I see us growing by anywhere between 300 to 400 officers in a 5-year span. Nashville continues to grow. It's going to be the entertainment capital of the world.
Yeah.
I think. When you look at New Year's Eve and you look at New York City, the next highline is Nashville. I was at a UT football game, Citrus Bowl, the Cheez-It Bowl, and I was in Orlando and I was watching TV and it had Nashville on and everything that we were doing here, not New York City. So I just see Nashville continue to grow. Buildings popping up everywhere. Excuse me. I drive around town and places that used to be vacant parking lots or whatever is now buildings, apartments, etc. It's kind of exciting to see, but it's kind of scary too. So.
Oh, I'm sure. Unfortunately, we had the Christmas Day bombing, the Covenant school shooting, but your officers, the way they acted and reacted is just in your wildest dreams was amazing how they come together. You had to be so proud of both of and I hate that we have to bring up both these incidents, but of the way your officers acted in those things.
Yeah, 100%. And during the Christmas Day bombing, so that whole year was just tragic. We had the pandemic that was ongoing. We had civil unrest from 2 national incidents, and had all kind of things going on. So everyone was looking for a break at Christmas. And then we had the bombing Christmas morning. And when Don Aaron calls you at 6:30 a.m. on Christmas morning, that's never good.
Right.
But fortunately, our men and women stepped up and did the right thing and helped save lives. The same thing with Covenant School. We train, and I've always said when, we had the Uvalde incident before that, and I said publicly that if we ever had that, and I hope to God we never would, but we would go in, and even if it's just one person that shows up, that one person is going in. In fact, Detective Collazo went in, cleared part of the building, came out, then regrouped with the other officers and went in and took care of the shooter. So I'm very, very proud that, and all of these men actually were expecting going to be new fathers.
Oh, wow.
They were going to have kids, and they never thought about that, never hesitated. They went in and did what they were supposed to do.
I'm sorry, Chase, was I told that they knew each other, the officers went Covenant, but they didn't really know each other? Is that correct?
They had never worked together, and that's how we train. We just group up in training. And
amazing.
And so Rex Engelberg had never seen those officers before. He was on business. going to the training academy for something, and the call went out, and he responded, and the rest went as
Wow.
well. So really turned out well. So,
The key phrase you said there is they didn't even think about it. They went in, and I have a couple of friends that are officers or have been officers, and one was actually injured in a chase, a high-speed chase, and I asked him about it one day, and he was like, I just did my job. I didn't even think about it.
Mhm.
Like, you don't think about you could get hurt or whatever. You go and do it. And I just respect the heck out of that. And that's why, whenever I see one of your officers out, I try and just say thank you because, the service that you all provide.
we have some amazing men and women. They're invested in this city. They're invested in making sure that we're safe, but then also invested in making sure that people know that we care about them as well. On that day, when we got the call, we actually ran emergency out there ourselves. And so if the situation was still ongoing, I was actually prepared to go in myself. And
Yeah.
I've had people saying, you're the chief, you can't go in, you can't do it. But that's not how we operate. It's, we're here we took an oath to take care of our city, to take care of the people in this city. And they did just that.
And
pretty impressive.
You were at the White House, right? Recently, was that a couple weeks ago?
I was had the opportunity to meet President Biden. Our men received a Medal of Valor award from the president, which is the highest honor law enforcement can receive. And it was them, firemen from somewhere, a police officer from Lincoln, Nebraska. But so proud of them, and just to be in the Oval Office with the president was a surreal feeling.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Do you still pull people over?
I do not, but I want to sometimes.
How do you stop? I mean, I know you see something legal going on. I mean, you're just like, I got to pull them over, but
so many things come from a traffic stop, and so me being the chief, if I pull someone over, it could lead into a lot of other things. It would have to be something really big and not just a traffic offense. So, but I haven't pulled anyone over in my role.
you let Don pull them over.
It should. He's such a celebrity. They probably
Are you
will
Don Aaron?
want a picture with him. Yeah.
Oh,
Can,
that's great.
can I get a picture with my ticket? Real quick, as we wrap this up, if somebody listening to this feels that call and they want to serve and join Metro PD, how can they go about doing that?
Hey, just get in touch with our background in recruiting. They can go to nashville.gov/police, start the process. We have background and recruitment. They'll contact them. We want people. If you're 21 years old, if you want a calling, you don't want just a job, you want to actually serve and help people, we'll bring you in. You don't have to have college. You can have 5 years of continuous employment. You can have military. So we've done a lot of things creatively to try to bring people on the police department, and we have the best training. We've had lateral classes. These are police officers that come from other police departments around the country, and they say our training is second to none. They have not seen training as good as ours, and so you coming on a good police department into a great city, and you get great training. You can't turn that down.
By the way, when I was leaving the Preds game the other night, I walked by one of the new cars with the new paint scheme, and I was really thrown off. But so I got to get used to that. But they're cool. They look cool.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it was time for a brand change, and I've been wanting something a little bit different.
Yeah.
We got another one that's going to have a little kind of quirky, but it's going to be really nice too coming out.
Okay.
Good. So when Chase is texting and driving, he's going to make sure that there's a new car on the road.
I got hands free, man. I talked to Siri.
Well, I'll pull him over there.
Yeah. All right, there we go. Chief, thanks so much for doing this. It's good to meet you, and we'll talk again soon.
Good to meet you all too. This has been great. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, appreciate
Absolutely.
you. Thank
Such
you.
an honor.
Yes,
Chief
sir.
John Drake joining us here on the program. We're live at the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes. Mike Keith going to join us at 10 o'clock. Greg Wyshynski at 9:30. We got a full show planned here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on this Thursday. We are presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. Good to be back at Kitchen Notes. It's now reopened. A lot of people in here this morning. And Chief John Drake did the ribbon cutting. We were in the picture. I don't know if we're, important enough for that, but they asked us to do it anyway. So that was pretty cool.
Hey, never turn down an opportunity to be in a ribbon cutting, especially with scissors that are as big as Chase's head,
I know, right?
which was really cool.
I'm in a giving mood today, so we're going to give something away. How about this? A pair of tickets to see Coheed and Cambria plus Taking Back Sunday at Ascend Amphitheater on Wednesday, September 3rd. Before you can buy these tickets, they go on sale tomorrow at 10 o'clock. 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 at 615-737-1025 will win a pair of tickets to see Coheed and Cambria plus Taking Back Sunday.
That's in Amphitheater on Wednesday,
September the 3rd.
Good luck.
We're
We're
going to be giving away a
a
lot today.
We're
in a giving mood. We got a lot of stuff to give away.
I like that.
So that's what we're going to do. Did you hear Charles Robinson this morning on Robbie and Rex Road?
Did you
Yahoo
hear
Sports?
Charles
He was
Robinson?
feisty
Feisty
with Joe Rex Road.
Because Joe was asking some
Joe
really
was
dumb
asking
questions.
some really dumb questions.
I think Joe asked.
I think Joe asked.
But
But
the obviously the Vrabel thing came up when he said he thinks Josh McDaniels is going to be
Obviously.
Vrabel's offensive coordinator. I was like, wow. I mean, it wouldn't shock me,
Right.
but like yesterday, Jared was asking, okay, how many of what percentage of his coaching staff are going to be from the Titans or a connection that he has. I said 60%. I don't know how you feel, but
when he said
Josh
he
McDaniels
thought- he
was
thinks
never
Josh
here, but
McDaniels
obviously
is
somebody he would know, from the days with the Patriots.
Josh
McDaniels
McDaniels
is
is
a
a heck of a play caller.
Terrible head coach. but-
Terrible.
He ruined the Broncos, ruined the Raiders, and then most of those Belichick coaches fizzled out.
Mayo sucked.
Matt Patricia was
Matt
terrible.
Patricia was
McDaniels'
terrible.
His
His head coaches
Patricia
weren't
was
good.
terrible with the
Patricia
Lions.
was terrible with the Lions.
Terrible.
Terrible.
So
But
if you're going to hire somebody,
gonna hire somebody-
remember we talked with McLean. Your first staff, you're hiring your buddies. You come up together. Now you learn. But you have to go outside the box. And so, like when he kept Art Smith here, when he took over in 18, was really different. And I could see Art Smith going in there. I don't know what the Art's contract is in Pittsburgh, but for Vrabel, you have to get out of the box a little bit, but hire people that you know you're comfortable with. That's it. I'm not apologizing for any of my hires.
I feel like there's a lot of agreeing going on this radio station, which usually doesn't happen. But I would say that what should happen with Arthur Smith, he should become the head coach of the Chicago Bears. If they're smart, they'll hire him. I think they'll end up hiring McCarthy, but I think I texted Forrest and was like, and I know Jared did too. Art would be a great hire. The city wouldn't like it because it's not the sexy name or whatever, and they all want Ben Johnson. But Art would do a great job with Caleb Williams. I mean, look what he did for Tannehill.
Look what he did for Tannehill.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Look what he did
I'm
for
with you.
Russell
Look what he did for Russell Wilson.
and Josh Fields or Justin Fields. So I think that would be a really good hire for Chicago. I don't think they'll do it, but that would be a good hire.
But that would
they're not getting Art Smith. I don't think they want that. I don't think they want a big out of the box name.
out of the box
Bears.
And Mike McCarthy used to do that because he's won a
Fits into
Super
that.
Bowl.
Yeah, he fits into that. And I
he
get
fits
it. I
into that.
understand all that stuff. But at some point,
baseball
baseball hockey's probably the worst. Baseball is second.
Baseball is second.
Pro basketball is up
Pro
there.
basketball
You
is up
just
there.
keep
You
hiring
just
the same coaches.
hiring the same
How many jobs is Doc
How many
Rivers?
jobs is Doc Rivers?
18?
Oh, well, yeah.
18?
I mean, so these they keep
I mean, so
getting
these
Boston,
coaches- they keep
the
getting-
Clippers. Where's he at now?
Do you do the
Did
Sixers?
you
for-
do the Sixers for a while?
Yeah.
I don't know. But sometimes you got to get out that box and hire some.
when Saban took over at LSU in 2000,
in 2000,
Saban staff in 2000, Will Muschamp, Jimbo Fisher, although he's an idiot, he recognized up-and-coming good coaches and college football got those guys somebody big out. Jimbo Muschamp. Oh gosh,
Did what?
He recognized up-and-coming hot college football coaches, and he got them on his staff at LSU. And I'm leaving somebody off that staff. So recognize some of these guys that are different, but Vrabel's not going to. 'cause,
Yeah, who was
Muschamp, Saban.
Muschamp, Saban, Dooley.
There was somebody
You're
else.
right. There was somebody else.
I'm leaving. I'll look it up here in a second. But sometimes, but Vrabel's not going to do that because, as we know, he's smarter than you and I.
Yes. By the way, Doc was with Orlando, Boston, the Clippers, 76ers, and the Bucks.
5 or 6 jobs.
That's fine. There you go.
That's right.
That's right.
615
615
driven by Will County
Driven by
Honda.com.
Wilson.
Greg was going to join us in a few minutes. We
We
had the opportunity to Predators Golden Hall, that's where we were broadcasting from.
Broadcasting
After we went
from,
off the air,
we
I
went
sat
off
down
the
with
air.
Shea Weber and Pecorino. It was really good to catch up with them. To see those guys and
see
Dave
those
Coyle
guys
as they all got their gold jackets. Really cool.
It's really
Awesome
cool.
ceremony.
Awesome ceremony.
You know, those three
You know,
guys
those are
deserve
three guys that
all the
deserve
accolades.
all the
they're
accolades
currently getting.
they're
They
currently
are. They are. And I just, I mean, Shay. I told you this one.
I think Shea Weber.
I think I did Shea Weber's
interview
first
in
TV
Nashville.
interview in Nashville.
We had him on Channel.
We had him
2,
on Channel
and it
2.
was terrible.
And it
because
was terrible.
I didn't know anything about hockey.
I didn't know anything
He
about
was so
hockey.
nervous.
He was
and
so
we just
nervous
laughed the whole
We
time.
just
and it
laughed
was
the whole
just
time, and it was just
a disaster.
a disaster, but fun
And
disaster.
He was.
And
Shea
he
was.
was.
So to
He
see
was
him up there
great. So to
yesterday-
see him up
I
there
think Shea
yesterday.
Weber, man. I mean,
Shea
when I think
When
my
I think
favorite
my
players,
favorite
are Jordan
players,
Tutu,
Jordan
Shea
Tutu, Shea Weber,
and to see Shea Weber,
and to
it
see
was
Shea
really
Weber
cool yesterday.
really cool yesterday.
Is it Kirby?
Is it
Was Kirby on the staff?
Yeah.
Might have been.
He looked up.
Let me look that up. I'm leaving somebody off that LSU staff. It's driving me crazy.
Jimbo?
Or he said Jimbo.
He said Jimbo.
Yeah, Jimbo. Yeah, Jimbo was definitely on their
Jimbo was
staff.
Yeah.
But Kirby might have.
Kirby?
I don't know. We're looking up right
I
now.
don't know where we're
Jim
right now.
Fisher,
Jimbo
uh,
Fisher,
big
Rick
time
Trickett
O-line
was a
coach,
big-time
he was
O-line
there.
coach. He was there.
I'm looking it up now.
I'm looking it up now. Don't go anywhere on me.
Here we go, coaches.
Coaches.
Derek Dooley,
Derek
Sal
Dooley,
Sinceri,
Sal
Mel
Sinceri,
Tucker, Freddie
Mel Tucker,
Kitchens,
Freddie
Adam
Kitchens.
Gates
Adam
was a
Gase
graduate
was a
assistant.
graduate assistant. Freddie Kitchens, graduate assistant on Saban's first staff in 2000 at LSU.
Wow. A lot of names you
Jimbo.
know.
A lot of names.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's right.
Coming up next, we're
Coming
going to
up
talk some
next,
hockey
we will
with Greg
talk some
Wyshynski.
hockey
He's
with
going
Greg
to join us
Wyshynski.
every Thursday.
Every
We'll do
Thursday.
that coming up next.
We'll do that
125,
coming up
1063.
125, 163. Hey, are we echoing? Somebody texted in and said we're echoing. David. Oh, is it that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's because Joe had his computer unmuted.
1063 The Game on this Thursday, live at Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Dr. Crane's even here with us. So our man David James helping out today at the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Let's bring in Greg Wyshynski, ESPN senior NHL writer. He's presented by Old National Bank. Get old. Greg, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I hope you guys got to see the Stadium Series jerseys for Detroit and Columbus that came out this morning. They're fire, as the kids say.
Which, kind of goes, and actually I have it. I'm pulling it up right now. But, with the Stadium Series jerseys, it's kind of been hit or miss, with those. I like Columbus. I like the cannon on the front. That's pretty cool.
The cannon's dope. The Detroit one, I talked to the designers for the story. It's on ESPN.com right now. And the problem with Detroit is that they're an original six team. They have a very simple aesthetic. And so the NHL and Fanatics, who does the jerseys, are very wary about trying to mess around too much with it. So they couldn't do too much. The thing that surprised me about these jerseys, and I agree with you, I think the Stadium Series is fun because they try some stuff. They throw a lot at the wall. It's where we got those chrome helmets for the LA Kings that year and stuff like that. The thing about, I really thought they'd lean more into the Ohio State, Michigan of it all, to be honest with you. The games at Ohio State, it's Ohio versus Michigan. I really thought there'd be a bit more of a Wolverines Buckeyes thing. I found out in reporting the story that Ohio State is very, very conservative with their trademark on the Buckeyes, to the point where the Blue Jackets wanted to put those Buckeye stickers that the football team has on their football helmets on their helmets, and Ohio State shut it down. So that's the reason why it's not more of a collegiate look for a game that I think is going to really lean heavily into the Wolverines Buckeyes rivalry.
Yeah. I don't love the white stripe on the helmet for Detroit, but everything else I'm good with. But it is that time of year for sure. It's also approaching trade deadline. In your mind, who's the big fish this year that the contending teams will be fishing for?
It's a great question because, I think it really all depends on what a couple of teams have in mind with regard to their own rosters. The New York Rangers are very well within range of a wild card in the Eastern Conference, but at the same time have been aggressive in trying to reshape the core of their team. So if a guy like Chris Kreider, for example, becomes available, he's got trade protection, but at the same time, they've also really found a way to get around that with other guys like Jacob Trouba. He's the type of player that could be an instant difference maker for a team. Great special teams player, both the power play and the penalty kill, power forward in a league that doesn't have a ton of really effective veteran ones. And then the other team that could really, make or break the trade deadline is Vancouver. We've heard all year about this feud between two of their biggest stars, Elias Pettersson and JT Miller. It's real. There's an ongoing issue for multiple seasons that I think has kind of boiled over this year to the point where they are listening in on both of those star players. And it appears that they're going to probably have to make a move to resolve the issue. If it's Pettersson, you're talking about one of the best young centers in this league. That could change the complexion of Vancouver and certainly bolster another roster. I know Carolina is really interested in him. And JT Miller is a guy that can play in a variety of situations, is a great point producing forward. He's got full no move clause. I think the smart money is on a reunion between him and the New York Rangers at some point. And that could certainly impact the Eastern Conference race in a big way.
We're talking to Greg Wyshynski here on the People's Show, the Chase and Big Joe Show. Greg, Tuesday night, we saw the Nashville Predators take down Vegas. We saw the Predators team we hoped we would see throughout this season. They were tough. They were physical. They played hard. Can this be something, and I know they played the Blackhawks tonight, but can this be something you beat one of the best teams in hockey, can springboard you now that the pressure's on, that we've entered the second half of the season?
Well, like you said, I think the important thing for Nashville in trying to find their footing and try to put together a string of wins like they did last year is at least some proof of concept. Get some confidence going that when they're on their game, they can actualize as the team everybody thought they'd be before the season. Obviously in that win over Vegas, one of the big things was they put some goals on the board. And to me, that's been the real challenge for this team and the real shocker about this team. And this was a top 10 team offensively last year that added significant offensive pieces in the offseason. and then couldn't put the puck in the net, which is just not what anybody would have predicted for this Nashville Predators team coming into the season. So I have my mid-season awards on ESPN right now. I have the Predators as the most disappointing team. I don't think you're going to get too much disagreement on that based on expectations versus execution. But as I mentioned in the piece, like, there's still time to turn it around. I mean, there's a lot of runway left. I do think that the you'd rather be in the East than the West as far as teams that are outside the playoff picture right now, just because of how solid the top three is in both of those divisions. And then the wild card race, you're really going to have to track down Vancouver, or whoever's not in the top three in the Pacific to get that last spot. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. And we've, like I said, we've seen this team put together a good string of wins before.
Has there been a team that's been where the Predators are right now in the past who just put it together and just steamrolled into the playoffs? I'm sure there has.
Well, yeah, it was St. Louis. I mean, when they won the Cup, they put on the afterburners at the beginning of January. Now they did have a couple of changes there. I think that was the Craig Berube coaching change. That was also Jordan Bennington coming up from the minors and all of a sudden becoming the best goalie in the league for about 3 or 4 months, all the way to them winning the Cup. But it's certainly not unprecedented for a team to really kind of put it together in the second half, get it rolling, and make a miraculous run back to at least the playoff bubble. Like I said, it's tough in the West, just because of the quality of the top 8 or 9 teams. Calgary's kind of hung around longer than I thought they would. And then you also have some teams that are in front of Nashville, Utah being one of them. I think that could also be teams that put together a good string of games. But there's just so much talent on this team. There's so many guys that if they get rolling can carry you for weeks on end. And then obviously with UC, a goalie that can win games on his own. I mean, the blueprint is there basically for Nashville to make a run at this in the second half if they can put together a good string of games. But as you guys know, like, the real issue is that you go and beat a Vegas, and then you watch them probably lose to Chicago. It's like one leap forward, 3 stumbles back all season for this Nashville team.
Greg, I like, when John Hines was here, I don't think he got enough credit because he was here during COVID and all things that went on. And now to see him thriving with the Minnesota Wild, and they're, on the road, Minnesota's almost unbeatable. I kind of like this guy. I like what he's doing because he left town, Greg. He didn't run his mouth. He just said, I'm going to get another job and see what I could do there. I really like what he's doing in Minnesota.
Yeah, I covered him in his first gig in Jersey, and I thought he was a good dude. Like, I thought he ran a tight ship. I thought he was a good coach. In that situation and in Nashville, the stars did not align for him to continue his employment in either place. Minnesota is a really good story this year. Right now, they're hitting a little bit of a skid because they're dealing with some pretty deep, important injuries on their team, including Kirill Kaprizov, who probably fumbled the MVP bag by being out for as long as he's been. I think he would be the leader right now, and I don't think he is anymore. But that's, again, we're only a few weeks removed from Minnesota being right at the top of the league with Winnipeg and Washington. They play well. They play good. They play hard. The proof will be in the pudding in the postseason to see exactly what they end up being. And, I think if it ends up being a Minnesota-Dallas series, that could be a hell of a war in the series between those two teams. But right now, I mean, they're one of the better stories of the season as far as expectation versus where they are in the standings.
Greg Wyshynski is with us. When you look at the division leaders right now, and in the Atlantic, I'll give you Toronto and Florida since they're kind of trading that back and forth. But then Washington, Winnipeg, and Vegas. Who in your mind, has the best chance to actually live up to that? And who are you still a little skeptical of as we go into the second half?
So let's break it down. I really like Vegas. I think they played well. I think Eichel's had an MVP level season for them. When they're on, they're real tough to beat. I mean, they're really, really tough to beat. Winnipeg is an interesting one because they've been feasting on their power play all year. I don't love them at 5-on-5. I think that Connor Hellebuck has papered over a lot of the deficiencies on that team. And, he could continue to. He's the best goalie in the world. So I think there's something to be said for watching out what they ultimately are when I don't think their best hockey is played at even strength. And that's kind of where you play in the playoffs. Jumping to the East, the Leafs are the Leafs. They're cruising along. I think the real issue is whether their goaltending can stay healthy. When Wall is healthy and when Stolars are healthy, they're like Vezina guys. But the problem throughout their entire career has been their inability to stay healthy, and that could ultimately spell the end of their cup hopes. Jersey, Carolina, both those teams are very dangerous. I think when Jersey's on, they are maybe the team I like the most out of the East. But the thing about Florida, I keep coming back to, is like when you're at the trade deadline, like we mentioned before, you're always looking for a certain kind of player. The rugged playoff type, can score you a goal, been around a bit, maybe they have a cup ring. That's the core of the Panthers. like I don't think there's another team in this league where their most important players are also the kinds of players that you need to win the postseason. Other teams have skill guys. Maybe they don't have the DNA of a Tkachuk or a Barkov. Like the foundation of this Florida team, and it's the reason they've made the Cup final twice and won last year, is the type of player that you win with in the playoffs. And I don't think there's another team that can say that their DNA is basically that, and Florida has it.
Greg Wyshynski joining us now. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to go to a luncheon as the Predators debuted their Golden Hall, their version of their Hall of Fame. David Poile, Pekka Rinne, Shea Weber, all being the inaugural inductees. It was really, really cool. And I got to talk to Pekka and then Shea, and it obviously had been a while with Shea Weber. I guess he is technically retired. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's in the Preds Golden Hall, but I don't understand how this works, Greg. Can you clear this up? Because he's still technically under contract with Utah.
He is. Man, David Legwand eraser. How is he not a first ballot Golden Hall guy? I don't know what happened there.
I think he'll be there. He'll be there eventually.
Yeah, I think he'll be there eventually. Yeah, he's put in his time. It's simple. The Hockey Hall of Fame is not about when your contract ends. It's when you last played competitive professional hockey. So it's one of the things we're talking about a lot with Jágr right now, because he keeps playing into his 50s and 60s. It's like, you got to retire. You got to be out of the game for a little bit. They'll probably expedite his candidacy when he does actually hang him up. But you do have to hang him up at some point. And I think in Shea's case, obviously he hasn't played since that Montreal run to the Cup final during the COVID years. It doesn't matter that his contract is still on the books. It matters when is the last time you actually played in the NHL or another competitive league. And so he does fit the bill, but it is funny to see all these, lingering contracts in certain places for guys that haven't put on the skates in a while.
What is that? Does it prohibit him from doing things if he, hypothetically wanted to get into coaching or scouting, is he still exclusive to Utah on that, or could he basically get a job somewhere?
No, it's a player contract. So you can't play anywhere. I don't know if you remember this, but when Chris Pronger, Hockey Hall of Fame defenseman who played for the Ducks and for Philly and other places, Chris Pronger actually worked in the NHL league office while his contract was still active with the Philadelphia. I think it was the Flyers at that point. It might have traded it at that point, but I think it was the Flyers. So yeah, you can get another job within the league, even though you still have a player contract that's, technically active. It is kind of funny to think that Chris Pronger was on the Department of Player Safety and yet was still on the Flyers payroll technically. I don't know if that's conflict of interest. It's not a Tom Brady calling a Lions game level of conflict of interest, but conflict of interest nonetheless. So it is one of those little quirks and obviously a symptom of playing under a salary cap. But yeah, it's all about when you stop playing versus anything else.
Okay, so you jokingly mentioned Legwand. If you're putting three more in the Preds Golden Hall, who would you put in there?
Oh, that's a great question. So I know that he's kind of been market corrected by Pekka, but I was always a very big Thomas Vokoun guy.
Yep. When
he played here. I think he was great. Obviously, Ryan Suter, if Weber's in, and Pekka's in, you probably have to complete the Holy Trinity at some point. Legwand is, to me, your stalwart, your guy who put in his time during some lean years. But then looking forward, obviously Philip Forsberg is going to be there at some point, and there's probably a few others. Roman Josi obviously is going to be there at some point. Probably a few
Mike Fisher.
I'm not thinking of. Mike Fisher for sure. And so yeah, listen, I'm all about these. I think it's great. I do love the idea of teams honoring their own without necessarily crowding the rafters with retired numbers. The Devils recently did the same thing and put a guy named Sergei Brylin, I don't know if you remember that name, in their like red circle or whatever the hell they call it. But like those types of players that meant so much to fans and so much to the organization that don't necessarily rise to the level of no one ever wearing their number again. Like I love the idea of those guys getting honored in some way, and this sounds like a really cool way to do it.
Let me add one more to this. For a new town that knew nothing about hockey, Greg, one player came in here, and to me, he's still the second most beloved Predator player, and that is Jordan Tutu. People absolutely still love him, and he's a name that's not going to resonate throughout hockey. But in Nashville, Tennessee, you bring out Tutu's name, people love him. I mean, it's just that guy that you like. I'm Jordan Tutu. We love this guy. He's a guy that can hang it out at the bar with us. So I think Tutu is a guy that's going to be up there.
Yeah, for sure, and played the kind of game that fans loved, and certainly, you know, I think you'd still see a few Tutu jerseys strolling around the arena on a game night. The one I'd put out there, because it's the first Nashville jersey I ever owned, and it might have been first or second year. I forget exactly what year it was, but obviously, like you're talking like early Predators fan favorites. Give me a little Stu Grimson love up in there. in the
Yeah.
It might be the only Hall of Fame he'll ever be in, but I mean, if you're talking about like fan favorite early obsession for Nashville hockey, the Grim Reaper, baby. That's
Absolutely
what we're talking about.
That is a good one. Greg, always appreciate it. We will talk to you next week.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN, joining us. He's presented by Old National Bank. Get old. Always enjoy our conversations with him. We'll come back with much more from the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game on this Thursday. We're live at Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. And oh, Joe, I am very, very, very sad. The Milwaukee Brewers announcing just a few minutes ago, we are heartbroken to announce that Brewers icon and Baseball Hall of Famer Bob Uecker passed away today at the age of 90. Also known as Harry Doyle from the Major League movies. The Uke. A tremendous, tremendous personality for baseball, and of course an announcer with the Brewers, and man, I remember him, back in the day from the Miller Lite commercials and all that stuff. But that's just, you see, we've talked about this before. You see when certain celebrities pass away, and like just some of them just hit you, and this is one.
You know what made him famous was he was us.
Yeah.
Self-deprecating.
Yep.
Knew he wasn't a great athlete. Knew he got lucky to where he was in his baseball career. Realized he wasn't any good, and then took the route of being the announcer and became beloved. And I mean, he was important to baseball as anybody who's ever played the game of baseball. And I will argue that with you all day long.
I agree. I certainly agree. So at 90 years old, Bob Uecker, the Hall of Famer. So it just, that's a tough one. And, we'll have to ask our next guest because, he's a pretty famous announcer in our area in his own right. And I'm sure Uecker is somebody that he listened to a lot.
Oh, I'm sure.
Back in the day. Mike Keith going to join us next. Be the first time that we've had a chance to talk to him since the news came out that he will be the voice of the Vols. He's in Knoxville. I mean, he's working already.
Yeah.
So, he's already after it, but we'll get into that and much more with him. That's all coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063 the game. Hour number 2, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on this Thursday. We're live at the Omni Nashville Hotel at Kitchen Notes, our home away from home. Kitchen Notes now reopened. It's fantastic. Joe's had his oatmeal. I've had my eggs and sausage. Good breakfast.
It's the
for sure.
best, man.
It is the best. Speaking of the best, Mike Keith, now the voice of the Vols, or the future voice of the Vols, and was with the Titans for so many years, joins us now. Mike, congratulations. I don't think it's quite set in for all of us, but we're very, very excited for you.
Well, thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on the show. It's good to be with you.
You know, we haven't gotten to really do this a lot because of, you know, your obligations with the Titans and stuff, but I'll just start with a simple question. You know, you get that phone call to go home, so to speak. I know it wasn't an easy decision, but in some ways, was it kind of an easy decision to know that this was the right move for you at this time?
It was easy to accept the opportunity because the opportunity that they put in front of me was something that checked every box for me in terms of what I love about broadcasting, the opportunity to do a lot of meaningful things with not only football, but getting a chance to do basketball as well, and probably have some involvement in baseball in terms of the SEC Plus package. John Wilkerson does the games on the radio, and he's great, but I get to be around it some and probably do a few games on the side. Excited to, you know, talk about the University of Tennessee every day and be with Tennessee fans and be on a college campus. All of the things that they laid out in that way, that was not difficult. The decision to move, the decision to leave a job that you'd had for 27 years and something that you really enjoyed doing and people that you enjoyed doing it with on a daily basis, whether, you know, the record was good or bad, you felt like you were all in it together. And there's a real sense of camaraderie anytime you're part of what is a real team, which obviously a professional football team is. That part is still hard. And even thinking about it, waking up in the morning and realizing you're not getting back and you're not going back there, that's still hard. And I think it's probably going to be that way for a long time. So the two things were exceedingly difficult to sort of put together. On one hand, you're excited and you're so fired up. And on the other hand, you're incredibly sad. You feel a sense of loss. And, you know, I've never been through that before in my life. And so I'm kind of coming to grips with that right now.
You know, when you ultimately, you know, made the decision to do this, did you talk to Amy and tell her, you know, what you were leading? And if you did, you know, what was that conversation like?
No, we talked after the fact, and
Yeah.
She was kind enough to call me, and we had a really nice conversation. She and Kenneth Adams were both very supportive and very kind, and that made it a lot easier. I got her phone call about a half hour after it all hit, and I was sitting in an office with a friend, and I was just really staggered. You know, I was just really – I don't mean to over dramatize like this is some soap opera or some awful thing, because it's not. But at the same time, I was sitting and talking to a friend who I really value. And, you know, it was kind of a tough moment. And her phone call was a huge help, because knowing that I could leave with her blessing and Kenneth Adams' blessing meant a lot to me, because that family means so much to me. And I mean, they gave me a chance. They gave me a chance when I was 30 years old, when I had no right for them to give me a chance. And I always fully realized that and appreciated it every single day, that they took a shot at me and they took a chance on me. I hope I paid them back. You know, I hope I earned my keep, and that they feel good about what Mr. Adams did and the people around Mr. Adams did back in 1998, for which I will be always appreciative. And she made it a lot easier than I thought it would be. I figured I would get a phone call from her. I didn't know how that would go, but the fact that it went very, very well was a big deal to me in so many different ways I can't even describe.
Mike Heath is with us, the future voice of the Tennessee Volunteers. You know, as you kind of look back on your Titans career, you know, you had the opportunity to to call Steve McNair's games and call the Music City Miracle, obviously, many playoff games, call a Super Bowl. So even though you didn't get to see the Titans win one, but the fact that they were in it, did you feel fulfilled at the end of your Titans career as you move into this next chapter?
That was one of the reasons, too, why I felt like I could do this, because I didn't see it all. I didn't experience it all. I'm still disappointed that I wasn't able to call a winning Super Bowl and that I wasn't able to call more winning playoff games and things of that sort. Not selfishly, but I wanted that for everybody involved, too. But, to be there on the first night, when we played the Falcons in the preseason in August of '99, to have been there at different points when the Rob Baronis 60-yard field goal to beat the Colts in 2006, the 10-0 start in 2008, Vince Young to Kenny Britt to end the 99-yard drive to beat the Cardinals on the last play of the game in 2009, 2 2,000-yard seasons. Went to the playoffs 10 times. So all of those things, and in particular because there were so many firsts, I felt like I got more than I deserved in that role. And the other part of it, too, that I would give any broadcaster, if I could hand any broadcaster a gift, it would be the 22 days that we had in January of 2000. That whole run, that was crazy. And that was so much fun. And, you could experience that again at some point in different ways. And I hope I do, but it will never be the same as that because it was the first time. And we were running on adrenaline that whole period of time, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
We're talking to Mike Keith now, the voice of the Tennessee Vols. That is really cool when I get to say that, Mike. And we're so honored that you're on our show today. And we also, throughout the years, you've been so kind to us, to Chase and me and others at our radio station. So I just want to say thank you for that. Mike, was there ever an opportunity for you to double dip in this, like a Wes Durham or a Gene Deckerhoff where you call Vols on Saturday, then Titans on Sunday?
That was mentioned basically after the fact in passing. And so I don't really think there was a realistic opportunity of that. It was not a discussion that came up during the process. So it's hard to say how that could have worked. That would have taken a lot of vision and would have taken a lot of time to kind of plan out. So no, I don't think that was going to happen.
Well, I just think doing that, just my goodness. I mean, you got to be lucky getting from venue to venue, and the pressure to do that and all that. I don't think I could do that, Mike. I'm glad you're focusing on one thing.
You could do it. You do so many different things now. Of all the people I know, you could do it.
Oh gosh, no. Well, I appreciate. Yeah, maybe I could. That Mike Keith says I could do this. Mike, who? Did anybody try to talk you out of this that's close to you?
No. I went to, obviously, the majority of my discussion was with my wife because This was going to be a major life change. And listen, I'm from Franklin. I grew up we moved to Franklin when I was 10, before Franklin was really Franklin,
Right.
And so that, we love it there. And so moving was the part that was the job thing was really secondary in my mind to moving because that affected more than me. And we've been in our house for 19 years. And of course, the great news is we have our house just exactly the way we want it now, and we're going to move. Yay! Got our kitchen done and, went through all of that, and genius on my part. But we discussed it, in a lot of different angles, and she was and is continually very supportive about, for us. We met at Tennessee. And so, we're coming back here. We lived here the first 8 years of our marriage. And so that's going to be kind of fun to rediscover this town. Being here this week has been really an eye-opener because it's nothing like when I lived here in 1998, much like when I moved back to Nashville and Franklin after I had been gone for 12 years when I moved back there in 1998. So, really, really kind of a strange thing. I had probably 5 or 6 people that I discussed it with privately, and nobody tried to talk me out of it because, I could tell them specifically what the job was, what the opportunities were, what they wanted me to do, what the vision was. And their feeling from a professional or personal standpoint was this was just a tremendous opportunity. So honestly, Joe, I was surprised that nobody in my, I don't want to say inner circle because that
Say it.
sound like I'm real important. But nobody in the circle of people that I could talk to very openly and know that they would keep my confidence. Not one person tried to talk me out of it.
I know the answer to this question. Chase knows it. You know it. But when the announcement came down last week that you were leaving, it was the day after Music City Miracle and all the turmoil that's going over it with the Titans and everything. And people were like, oh, he's getting out because of all that's going on over there. Please answer that was not why you left the Tennessee Titans for once and for all.
Well, the timing was all about, I told Tennessee that we would need to do this fast because I would need to get over here to get, like I was at the basketball game last night. I haven't done tons of basketball in the last few years. So I've got to really get back familiar with basketball now because next fall, when basketball season starts, I'm going to be in the middle of football. So I'm not going to have time to take what I need to do with basketball then. I've got to do it now. So I said, I've got to go fast. And the other part too is the Titans need me to go fast. I made that clear because they've got an off season to plan. How are they going to promote the first pick in the draft? What are they going to do about draft coverage? There's so much that has to be done that we would spend all of January working on at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. So the timing was all about understanding that everybody involved would need this to be quick. And it just so happened, I was not going to do it on the 25th anniversary of the Music City Miracle.
Right.
I was not doing that. I told Tennessee, they go, well, you can go Wednesday. I'm like, nope, not going Wednesday. Not gonna be in the news about anything other than the 25th anniversary of the Miracle. Out of respect to Titans fans, there's no way I'm doing that. And so I said, we'll go the 9th. And so I walked in and, let Burke Nihill know on the 9th that I was leaving, and the announcement came quickly. And I walked out of the building that day for the final time because there's no good way to do it. It would not have helped the Titans had I stayed until January 30th. It's just, this was what needed to happen. I got in the car Monday morning and drove to Knoxville.
Wow. Mike Keith is on the line with us. I want, as Titans fans, as fans of you, listen to this. And, as Joe mentioned, there's a lot going on with the Titans. As you leave there, what would be your message to fans about Amy and what she has done for that franchise since she took over? Because I know in people that we've talked to that have covered both Bud and Amy, they're very different people, even though they're related. They're different people. So what would be kind of your message to Titans fans about her?
She wants to win desperately. That's the thing you need to know about Amy Adams-Strunk. And let me mention too, Kenneth Adams is an important part of this equation too. She's out front more, but Kenneth in particular, and his brother Barkley, but really Kenneth is somebody who's very smart and has a really good feel for how this works. He moved to Tennessee as a college student. He went to Swanee. And the reason he did is he wanted to be here because this is what he wanted his life to be. He wanted to be part of the franchise. So they're smart people. They're talented people. They understand how things fit together. They get good times and bad times. They certainly get all that together. they'll get everything figured out. They will figure it out because they have a great desire to win. There are certain owners in professional sports who just want to make money. And I can tell you, hand on the Bible, certainly they want to make money. It's a business. I get that. But I can tell you how much they want to win. And when people want to win, they're going to do what they need to do. And I think that's what will happen.
Mike, as we let you go, one final question for you. Tennessee this fall has a lot of big games: Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida, the usual. But it's that game on September the 6th, the first home game at Neyland. How excited are you already? And just the feelings of getting – I know you guys played Syracuse the week before, but back inside Neyland. And I hope for your sake, Mike, that it's a night game, because a night game at Neyland is absolutely beautiful. How much are you already looking forward to this night?
I am. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I can't lie. I tell you, this broadcasting too, Joe. I'm kind of thankful for that Syracuse game in Atlanta to begin, so we have one under our belts. So we know that, every wire's properly connected and that everything's turned on the way it should be, because first broadcast can be tricky. And, the wire that worked on Friday might not work on Saturday, and you might be running to Office Depot to buy some cable or something, pack of batteries, whatever. So I'm thankful for that. I'm also thankful that we'll have Syracuse and East Tennessee State before we play Georgia at home on September 13th, which I will bet you a quarter is at night. So, we'll have the opportunity to get some things up and working before we have that full pressure SEC home game. We'll be ready on August 30th, and I hope we'll be good on September 6th as well. But that September 30th or September 13th against the Georgia Bulldogs will be one we'll kind of be building to as well. I've started thinking about all of it, and I'm really excited and scared, truly frightened, almost terrified, if you will. It's like, now you got the job. Don't screw it up, Ace. That's kind of how you feel about it, right? You're like, oh, this will be great. I hope.
Well, Mike, I know you're going to do fantastic, and I do want to just say this, that you have always been absolutely great to me. And, I can remember I'd met you a few times before I got into this whole broadcasting thing, but the first time I met you once I started my career was probably 2012 at a Titans training camp. I was still, scared to death of my own shadow, and I see you walking, and I'm like, it's Mike Keith. It's Mike Keith. And you came up and you knew who I was. And that was like the coolest thing in the world to me. And you have just always been great. Since that day. So I'm thrilled for you. I know Joe is too, and you're going to do a great job.
Thank you, guys. And I appreciate you saying that, Chase. Very kind. Go ahead, Joe.
No, sorry. I was just, and I echo Chase's comments about you and how important you are and nice you are to us. And I want to say, I remember a time outside of Providence, Rhode Island Hotel at the Omni where the Titans were staying, and a guy came up to you, recognized you, and made some stupid joke, and you were ready to fight him. I don't know if you remember this moment, but I was like, oh, I love Mike Keith, because it's like, that's the stupidest joke I've ever heard. And just the passion you had for the Titans off air showed me at that moment. I was like, this is great. So I'll never forget that moment.
Well, I'm certainly glad I didn't, because I would have lost my job. Now that I'm a little older, I've lost my nerve. I have no desire to fight anyone about anything anymore. And I'm glad we grow out of that. So, it's, I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And I hope people know that I was all in. And I was all in 11 days ago when we broadcast the last game. I wanted to beat Houston in that last game. And I had an idea that was going to be my last game. And, I loved it. And I've always loved the Titans fans and their passion. And, guys, I'll leave you with this. The thing that I'm most pleased about is when we started in 1998, people didn't care. They didn't care whether we lived or died. They really didn't. In leaving, in hearing people who were upset with the season or who are so focused on what we're going to do in the draft or what we're going to do with this, and saying we, even in the bad times, that people care enough to be all in like that, that's the greatest gift I got out of it from 27 years, because I know where it started. And, it's going to be a great offseason for the Titans and Titans fans as everybody follows this number one pick, and I hope they enjoy every minute of it.
No doubt. Mike, thanks so much for doing this, and I know we will be talking to you down the road.
I hope you'll call me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mike Keith, voice of the Vols, joining us here on the program, and going to do a tremendous job in Knoxville as he will take over for Bob Kessling starting next fall with football season. And it will be weird listening to Titans games, not hearing Mike, but you get to hear him on Saturdays now, so it'll be great.
Yeah, I mean, and your story about him taking the time to talk. I mean, he did that for a lot of people. He didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
That's how just a genuine soul he is.
Well, and I've told him this before. I'm unique. A lot of people will say that, oh, I listened to this person or I watched this person, and that's why I wanted to get into this, into broadcasting. A lot of mine, most of mine are local. Chris Clark, who is at Channel 5, Dan Miller from Channel 4. You. At Channel 2. You were somebody that I certainly looked up to, and then when we got into doing this together. But Mike, it was the Music City Miracle, because my dad and I were watching the game, but he turned off the ESPN audio and turned the radio on, so we listened to Mike. And when he made that call, that was like, my dad, used to tell that story, that he looked at me and he could see it, like, oh, there it is. Like, he knows what, that's what I wanted to do, And so Mike is certainly one of those people, but he's going to be awesome.
But he landed his dream job, man.
Yeah, he did. And that's why, like, anybody that's like, oh, he's getting out now, he's getting out at the right time. Like, right. It is not that way. Speaking of the Titans and jobs, we'll get into the GM search and the latest with that. Coming up next, Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game here on this Thursday, live at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Our show is presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. And we'll be back here tomorrow at Kitchen Notes as they have done the grand reopening. Dr. Crane is with us. David James is back at the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. All right, Joe, let's give something else away.
So what are we giving away?
This is a pair of tickets to 2 different Zany shows.
Yes.
So all in one here. Nateland on Monday, January 20th. That's this Monday. And New Material Monday on Monday, January 27th. I have been to New Material Monday with you. It is a lot of fun.
Yes.
Both shows start at 7 o'clock. Nateland is the live. Nateland Live is the brainchild, of course, of Nate Bargatze. The folks at Nateland bring together some of the best rising comics from across the country with occasional surprise guests, hosted by a member of the Nateland podcast. Every Monday night, it's good, clean fun. And New Material Monday is a weekly series at Zany's that featuring comedians from Nashville and beyond. Lineups will never be announced, but are guaranteed to be incredible. Nashville is bursting with an influx of new and talented and home to new talent and home to nationally touring headliners. This show is an opportunity for these comedians to work out their new material. You can be part of one of the greatest and fastest growing comedy scenes in the nation. You have a trivia question to win these tickets.
So obviously, Nate Bargatze started all this. Nate Land, just an immensely popular comedian. So a simple question, caller number 4, all right? If you could correctly name where Nate Bargatze went to high school, shouldn't be too hard. They're naming the gym after him tomorrow night. Where did Nate Bargatze go to high school? 615-737-1025. Our esteemed producer, David James, will take the winner.
615-737-1025. We'll get into the Titans and the GM search next. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063, the game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on this Thursday. We're live at the Omni Nashville Hotel. As our show is presented by that, we'll be back here tomorrow at Kitchen Notes as we were part of the ribbon cutting this morning with Chief Drake. So good to have this place back and open, and the food is great, just like it always is. The Titans continue to search for their new general manager. One interesting note that I saw last night from Adam Schefter is the two head coaches, the coaching staffs for the Shrine Bowl, which is always an important one with prospects that are coming out for the NFL draft. Falcons special teams coordinator Marquise Williams and a name Titans fans will know, Giants defensive coordinator Shane Bowen will be the two head coaches. And the West team will also have members of the Titans offensive staff. So that means they're going to be able to coach players such as Shedeur Sanders.
Those poor kids. They won't score any points. The Titans offense is coaching them.
There it is. But had to throw that in there, didn't you? You're not wrong, but you just had to throw that in there.
Oh, man.
For sure. So
is Callahan mentioning that or just the staff?
No, I think it's just the staff.
Okay.
I think he might be there to watch, but
I thought that was important to go to those games.
well, that's according to the guy that talks about Drake versus Kendrick in the books he likes.
Right.
So that's him. But but yeah, I think it'll be very important to be at those games.
Well, I mean, that also, but be wary of that because if I recall, didn't Wisenhunt's staff do that? And that's how they discovered Bishop Sankey, because he was able to pick up the blitz block when he was a running back. And they're like, this guy really picks up the blitz as well, and like catapulted. And when they draft, like, who the hell's Bishop Sankey?
Bishop Sankey.
And he lasted 0. I mean, he was awful. So
I knew people that were so excited about him, and I remember just going, "Why?"
Right? And that's the
Who is he?
You get kind of drunk off these guys because you fall in love with them in 3 days, and it's just like, yeah, no. That's why you always revert back to the game. You have all the game tape. As the coaches always said, the eye in the sky never lies. You see tendencies, and if you hustle with the game tape, so
Yeah. No, look, you can remember that there are probably 2 instances that come to mind of guys that like you didn't really know much about, and then through the whole process, whether it was the combine or a pro day, they got someone's attention. Chris Johnson at the combine, because when Fisher and his staff saw him, they were like, "Whoa!" Because of how fast he was.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kevin Byard's pro day, Dick LeBeau goes to the pro day at MTSU, who wasn't even invited to the combine.
Correct. Incorrect. It was at TSU.
Or at TSU.
And he was a throw-in kind of at the last second.
Oh, okay.
Terrible.
So that's what it was.
Yeah.
But Dick LeBeau saw him and kind of fell in love with him, and they ended up taking him in the 3rd round.
But go back, what did Byard do at MTSU? All he was intercept passes.
Yeah.
He was always in the correct spot to intercept passes.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. And Chris Johnson, when we went back and looked at his tape at East Carolina, we're like, holy cow.
Like, how could you not notice this?
Right.
guy?
Yeah. So, again, you go back to the tape and see what you could do on that and get it done.
And that's the thing. If this whole, let's take all the other stuff aside. If Brinker, can be the analytical mind like everybody says he is, and then this new GM comes in and just can identify talent and watch tape and go to practices and all that, and find guys like that, if they do that and they do it well, then all this stuff that we're talking about right now goes away. Nobody cares about any of this anymore.
You're right. And again, you just have to be better than 3 teams. That's it.
Yeah.
Jags, Texans, and Colts. That's all you have to be better than
Well,
to get to the playoffs.
I would say the Chiefs, the Bills. To achieve your goal.
What's the one thing you wanted when you got into radio? What's the one thing you wanted that we all want when we want to prove ourselves? We want a
chance.
Opportunity,
Opportunity.
right?
Yeah.
So win your division, get in there. There's your opportunity to go further and do what you can do.
I didn't say yes enough, so it took a while.
Correct.
but
Now
anyway.
look at you. Yeah.
But now look at you.
So the opportunity. So you don't have to be better than 31 other teams right now.
Yeah.
You just be better than the 3 to get in. And you were correct. If they go 10-7 next year and get in the playoffs, We'll look back. Remember last year when they were 3-14? Yeah, winning cures everything.
Yeah, could you imagine the Titans, the new Titans voice? This is December, going into the last game of the year, and says Sanders under center, or whatever, and this team is winning the division. Like I don't think it'll be Sanders under center, but you know what I mean.
Look, it could happen. We've talked ad nauseum about teams that turn it around. The 98 St. Louis Rams were terrible.
Yeah.
Were absolutely terrible. And then, Trent Green gets injured. Kurt Warner comes in. All he said, he's like, all I know how to do is throw the ball deep. And you had those Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce throwing the ball at Marshall Faulk. I mean, you had some foundational pieces there and you win the Super Bowl. So it can happen. It doesn't happen every year. But I'm telling you, the Rams in 98 were just as bad as the Titans were in 24.
Yep.
Just as bad.
Yeah, look, the 98 Titans were 8-8. I mean, wasn't it 3 straight years of 8-8 or 2 straight years?
Well, you
of
remember
8-8?
they were 8-6.
Yeah.
Those last 2 games.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, it could all be turned around, but they got to do things the right way.
Yep.
Now, I'm living in a dream world that they're going to figure out how to hustle Vrabel for the 4th pick for like Jeffrey Simmons and trade him, and then they have the 1st and the 4th pick. That's the dream world I'm living in.
That'd be great.
And then trade number 1 and get another, get a bunch of first rounders, move back, and then still have 4.
Remember if they have. I wonder if there's a team that's ever had 3 first rounders. The Colts in 91 had the first 2 picks.
Yeah.
And they took Steve Entman and was it Quentin Coriat out of Texas A&M, and they weren't very good. So I don't remember the last time a team's had 3. I'm sure there's been, but the Colts had 1 and 2 in the draft. But the Texans had what? 2 and 3?
Yeah.
2 years ago with Stroud and Will Anderson. They took those guys.
Let's see. Pro Football Network. NFL teams that have made 3 or more first-round picks in one NFL draft include the Dolphins, the Raiders, the Giants, and others. The Dolphins in 2020 had 3. Did they have 3? They had 3, according to this. That was Tua. They got a couple of other players.
Okay.
The Giants in 2019. They used their first of their 3-round picks on Daniel Jones. The 17 overall pick was they acquired in the trade of Odell Beckham Jr. They got Dexter Lawrence. That's pretty good. And pick number 30 was DeAndre Baker.
Okay.
The Raiders in 2019 got Cleveland Farrell. That was a terrible pick.
That's the Mike Mayock draft.
Yeah. With the pick acquired in the Mac trade, it took Josh Jacobs, and then they took who was the other guy?
Jonathan Abrams.
Yeah, Jonathan Abrams. Yep, that's right. Thank you, David.
Yeah.
Real quick, let's go to the phones. Brandon wants to weigh in on the Titans. Brandon, what's up?
Hello.
What's going on?
I'm on the radio.
You are on the radio.
Awesome.
All right, Brandon. Call back. Call back.
See you, Brandon.
Got to be quick. Got to be quick.
What is this thing?
Coming up next, we will get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays. Chasing Big Joe, 1025, 1063 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game on this Thursday at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Appreciate them for having us. As always, we'll be back tomorrow as well, and so looking forward to that. Dr. Crane is here with us, so he's going to do this live, and he can see our reactions live and in living color, which is going to be awesome.
Good morning.
You okay over there, man?
I'm choked up.
We got to get you out. We got to get you some medicine over here.
I
Maybe
feel
some
like I
Magnusol.
need to be like locked in one of those
Cryo chambers.
thank you, cryo chambers, and just frozen for like a week, and then I might be okay. I don't know what's
Get
going
you
on.
some medicine, buddy.
I have medicine.
Cover
but-
your fingers and toes when you go in there.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah.
I recommend.
What?
Your cryotherapy, you got to cover your fingers and toes so they don't,
Why?
so they don't like turn purple.
Probably
blue.
cover something else too.
Like,
But anyway,
I have an infected.
Oh my, Joe,
Ah.
you need to like
I have an infected cuticle, but I've got medicine on it. But it's
no,
it's what
Joe.
a
it's working.
finger to be on.
But it's yeah.
Joe, you know what you need, buddy. You need somebody to just get a needle and just.
I'm
I'm sorry, I know it's gross, but
Okay,
that's-
all
I've
right,
never-
all right.
okay, thank you.
With that, we got to move on. Let's get to what day is it and celebrity birthdays.
All right, first on the docket, we have Appreciate a Dragon Day. So I didn't know those things were still around, but those Komodo dragons, I think.
Oh, dragon. Because
A
I was like,
dragon.
one radio station got dragged the other day. But that's all right.
Not that type, but yeah, we'll go Appreciate a Dragon. Next is Book Publishers Day. So Joe's a book publisher,
I am not. I'm an author.
but you also publish books. Before,
I did
haven't
do
you?
that. I got lucky.
Yeah, come
It's
on
all right.
now. Get to know your customers day. I guess you could say the listeners are somewhat customers in a roundabout way.
Yeah,
right?
they are.
Yeah. International Hot and Spicy Food Day. Pass.
Heck yeah, pass.
Yeah.
National Fig Newton Day.
I like some fig Newtons.
Yeah,
Big Newtons are really good.
Yeah.
they are delicious.
Didn't he coach Vanderbilt basketball? When he Willie's coach? CM Newton.
No, CM.
Yeah, not the same, but one's edible, one's not. Yeah.
True.
Full fig.
National Good Teen Day. So if you're a parent out there, go congratulate your kids. I don't know. National Nothing Day. It's typically what's
Seinfeld.
Yeah.
The show about
typically
nothing.
what's in the brain.
Yeah.
Let's see. National Quinoa Day. Not a quinoa guy.
Is that the rice imitation?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like a substitution for rice. National Without a Scalpel Day. Don't have a scalpel on me.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Prohibition Remembrance Day.
Always.
Psychiatric Technicians Day.
Mhm.
And then to wrap it up is Religious Freedoms Day.
There we go.
So-
What's the hottest thing you could eat?
Ooh, that's tough. I think I've had a ghost pepper once before.
I've tried ghost.
Pass.
Carolina Reaper, no thanks.
Oh yeah.
Elijah Campbell that used to work here.
Mhm.
That dude has an iron stomach and an
Ugh.
iron tongue. Like he could eat anything. And be like, oh yeah, it's good. Got a little kick to it.
I think something hot and spicy would be Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah. I was literally thinking the same thing, and I
Muy
almost said it.
caliente.
All right, time for celebrity birthdays. You got to get these within two. Our first birthday, the great director of Starman and Thing, John Carpenter.
Ooh. 76.
81.
77. Chaser getting up to 1-0 lead here. Actress Debbie Allen, married to Norm Nixon, used to be, or maybe still is.
Not to be confused with the old Talk of the Town host.
Correct.
68.
I'm going to go 73.
75. She is beautiful. All right, let's go. I don't know who that is. Computer's really slow down. Oh, model Kate Moss. I know Chase and you heard and went out for a little bit. Kate Moss.
42.
40.
51.
Mhm.
It's nowhere near 51. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Did he not do Hamilton? I think he did.
Hmm.
Came up with Hamilton.
63.
71.
45.
Ooh.
Country singer Ronnie Millsap.
Ooh. 85.
90.
82. Country singer Jim Stafford, who's saying, I don't like spiders and snakes, but if that's what it takes to love you. Jim Stafford.
78.
70.
81. Radio host Dr. Laura Schlesinger. Dr. Laura.
74.
70.
78. Man, you guys
Jeez.
are right on the outside there. I'm not there close enough.
Just a bit outside. Bob Uecker.
Right. Let's see one more here. Oh, Sade. Ooh, she's good back in the day, man. Sweet
70.
as taboo.
73.
66. We're tied at 1. All right, let's go to some sports people. AJ Foyt.
Hall of Fame racer is 81.
84.
90.
Jeez.
Smiling Jack McDowell, former pitcher for the White Sox, had a funky delivery.
He's 72.
78.
59.
Oh,
Boxer Roy Jones Jr.
Dr. Crane seems to know that one.
Yep.
62.
59.
56. Tied at 1.
Jeez.
This is bad, but kind of good. Joe Horn, former NFL receiver.
48.
43.
53.
Jeez.
Down to our final 2. Albert Pujols.
47.
49.
45. Chase goes into the final birthday up 2-1. And the final birthday is a close friend, real close friend of one Derek Mason, Joe Flacco. How old is
Ooh.
Joe Flacco today? The elite Joe Flacco.
37.
39.
He is 40. We're tied at 2. We're tied
job.
at 2, and I'm trying to find somebody here that could break the tie, and I don't know any of these people. I'm so sorry.
Guy Fieri?
Today's birthday?
I'm just asking, is it?
No, it's not his birthday.
Every day I will ask if it's Guy Fieri's birthday.
Nope. I'm sorry. Okay, that's it. We're tied. We'll go tomorrow with a tie.
All
That's
right.
it.
Okay.
All right, sorry.
Sure. That is going to do it for us. DVD coming up next.
As we leave our shows every day to our guys out there, know that we love you. And if you're struggling and going through some things, need to talk to somebody, we're here for you always. Dr. Crane, Chase, and myself, or on your cell phone, you can dial 988 or text 988. Always talk to somebody. As we say every day, your journey is a beautiful journey. Yeah, there are potholes and bumpy roads, but it gets clear. I promise you on that. So know that you're strong and that we love you. If something happened to you, you'd be tremendously missed. Know that you're tremendously loved. We love you. And more importantly, God loves you.
Amen to that. Peace, love, rock and roll. D-May Svengen and Donick from Bridgestone Arena coming up next here on 102.5. Also, don't forget, we're back here at the Omni Nashville Hotel tomorrow. Looking forward to that starting at 9 here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.